Greetings, Ghost Moths. Welcome to the most awkward FAQ you will ever hear.
Yay!
Yay, welcome. This is me and Scarlett, who have tried to do this
Hello.
intro 4 times already, because I couldn't settle on it, and then I sounded too ASMR, according to Scarlett. Um,
Correct. No one needs that in their life.
I think they do. Anyway, right, as an aside, welcome to the FAQ presentation we've kind of put together. Um, there will be a written version as well as you can just watch this or listen to it in the background. So hopefully this answers some of your pressing questions that you've got in the run up to event 5. So some basics on site logistics. Supposedly this is my slide, according to Scarlett. Yes, I'm going to be bitter about it. Arrival time should be around midday. That'll give people plenty of time to get on site, sign in and everything. We'll explain that process in a bit. We have a what 3 words available, which I believe you go on their website. I got you to explain this last time, but you're going to have to do it for me, Scarlett.
That's fine. What Three Words is an app. It gives you, I should have looked this up, but it's a couple of meters square, and it will give you 3 unique words that describe that square within the UK. So this one is Hers Hung Gently, which I think we both quite enjoyed when we discovered that. Which is which is the square just by the gate into site. So that will just tell you rather than the address, which GPS isn't all that reliable, but what 3 words generally will get you there.
Yeah. And obviously, we've also put the address on there as well. Parking is behind a 24-hour monitored gate. There is a code to enter, which we'll be able to provide a bit closer to the event. I'm not sure if they change it between events and things. Those of us that used it for tithing found it was really easy just to get there, type in the code and come in. And then it's just a sensor release to exit, so you don't have to enter the code to get out of the car park. And this gate is monitored. There is also going to be some overflow parking available. If you are watching the YouTube video, you've got a view of the map that we've got here. So you can see the red arrow to Chemical Airsoft, and south down that map is the overflow parking that is accessible. I don't believe that's a secure site, though. Is that right, Scarlett?
Yeah, so basically it's just a little kind of gravel alcove, if you like, on the road. It's not, I don't believe it's owned by the site, but it's somewhere that is, it's safe enough to leave your car as long as you're not leaving any valuables in there.
Yeah. And also on the site of Chemical Airsoft, there are the site owners. They have a caravan that they will be around and at. If you have any problems with the site, for example, at Tithing, there was a bit of a leaky roof in like the back corner of the environment, and just quickly went over and spoke to the site guys and said, hey, there's this problem, and they got a mop and bucket and off they went straight away. So things like that, they're really helpful with. Arriving on site. So obviously, as I said, there is a barriered entrance. We'll make sure that everyone has the code. So when you turn up, let yourself through the entrance, park up, and then come to the Chemical Airsoft reception area. I've put a picture on there of what it looks like. It's really obvious. You drive past it as you drive into the car park. We'll then have one of our crew. It'll be either one of the refs or one of our crew will be able to sign you in. So that we know you've arrived on site. We'll also, if you've driven, we'll take your car registration, essentially just in case we need people to move vehicles for any reason during the event. Those details won't be kept. We'll get rid of them at the end of the event. It's just while we're on site. We'll then be able to give you the information of where you are taking your in-character and out-of-character things and which direction you need to go. We should hopefully have crew helping with this, or there'll be people in high vises. We'll make it really obvious. There may be some areas of site that we ask you not to enter because obviously we'll be setting things up. Please avoid the spoilers. Don't ruin your fun before we've even timed in. And we'll make sure we have some sort of printed map or a drawn out map in God, so that when we are telling you where you need to go or where you need to avoid, we can point to the map and help you out with that, and you'd be welcome to take a photo of it and whatnot. If we're able to before the event, we'll be able to supply those maps a bit before as well. Local area, we just made a note of a few details. For example, the nearest hospital, it's about a 22 minute drive away, which is North Manchester General Hospital. It is an A&E. It's 24 hours. It's obviously one of their main hospitals, so it is easy to get to, obviously traffic depending. There are several pharmacies all over the place if you need to go and get anything. The nearest one is, I think I timed it on the thing, as about 10 minutes walk or a 3-minute drive down that road. The nearest Tesco Express is pretty much next to it, but there's loads of local shops and stuff around. Takeaways do deliver to site, as many people enjoyed their McDonald's breakfasts at Tithing, amongst other takeaways, but please come and collect them from the gate yourself. We're not going to be collecting them for you unless you want the crew to eat it themselves. And the nearest showers is at a Pure Gym or Oldham Leisure Centre, which is about a 10-minute drive. Unfortunately, there are no showers on site. Yeah. It's a Scarlet slide. Everyone welcome Scarlet.
Yeah. So firstly, water. There is no running or drinking water on site. The only water that there is a plum toilet, which is just the next bit below. So drinking water wise, you need to bring at least 2 litres per person per day. And that's if you're not cooking. So if you're using water to make pasta or stuff like that, then you will need to bring extra water. Toilets, as I've said, there's one on site that's up a small step. Aside from that, we're going to be hiring 1 accessible portaloo and then 2 standard portaloos as well. So there'll be plenty of toilets. As far as toilet paper goes, we'll completely fit them out with that. If you notice that one is running low, just grab any crew member and just let them know, and we'll top it up. Power and lighting. So there is limited power and lighting on site. The trouble with that is that most plugs are quite high on the walls. So we will be asking everyone to bring your own power banks if you're able to. Also, as far as lighting goes, it is pretty well lit. Most areas do have lighting, electronic lighting, but it may be that we are able to turn some of that off if it's a specific encounter, stuff like that. So as with previous events, please bring red light torches. The reason it's red is so that it's not going to, mess with people's night vision or obviously the darkness, and in our rules, it's written in that monsters are briefed to ignore it. So even if they're a seeing human monster, like tornadoes or things like that, it's safety. So we'd like for you to be able to see so that we don't have any accidents. If you do have a medical need for power, then please do contact us. You can pop it in questions and just say, hey, can someone please message me regarding power? And we'll get back to you in our own time. Or if you don't need to have that kind of conversation and you just want to let us know, then you can note it on your sleeping arrangements form. Sleeping arrangements form, we'll touch on that later, but it will be going out fairly soon after this FAQ. Right, smoking and vaping. There is a temptation to vape indoors just because it's an airsoft site and it looks a little bit run down. But there is to be absolutely no smoking or vaping indoors. Do step away from entrances to the buildings when you go to have a smoke, and do be mindful of people around you as well. Not everyone likes the smoke and vape as well, so it's better to just take a couple of extra steps away so everyone's comfortable. With cigarette ends, make sure you stub them out fully, running them under a bit of water if you can, and then place them in a bin or ashtrays provided, leaving no trace so as not to harm the environment. So cooking, it's a non-catered event. So you need to bring your own food and drinks for the weekend. Obviously, you can pop out and get takeaways and stuff as well, but do come kitted out to, feed and drink yourself the whole weekend. There is to be no cooking indoors, as the site has strict fire safety rules that we wholeheartedly support. So, as we've mentioned earlier, the site owners are on site, and this is one of the specific things that they've said to us is that, there's no gas cooking indoors, no cooking of any kind. So we do want to stick to that as much as we possibly can. Pyros. So this event 5, will be a no pyro event. That's due to the site usage rules and fire regulations that we've just touched on above. It's something that the site have specifically said to us. It's also a very enclosed space, so it wouldn't be safe for us to use our normal smokes and things like that anyway. However, we're going to be releasing some guidance on how grenades and their effects will be phys-repped. So please don't worry if you're an inventor or a wanderer who has those skills to be able to use grenades or military, because you'll still be able to use the rule effect. It just won't be an actual pyro that you're using. But we're going to be putting out separate guidance for how that's all going to work. Fake blood and gore. We love this as a system and as individuals, I think, specifically me. Gore can be used, but must not stain or damage the site. If you make a mess, please clean it straight away, and if it stains, tell a ref. So we understand that accidents happen. I've personally done it at a site before and gotten blood on the floor, but it's been cleaned up straight away, just because if it stains, it then leaves permanent damage on the site, and obviously we don't want that. We want to leave no trace, just as we said with cigarettes as well. So it will be the same with fake blood and gore as well. I'm going to reiterate something Becky said before. Deliveries. If you order food, please collect it yourself. We have had this with previous events where people's food has turned up at the crew hut, and it's not been collected. So, we've felt the obligation to run it down into the player area, but that's not something we can set aside time for. Otherwise, the whole game has to stop so that we can run down your dominoes. So if you can be mindful when you order things, it can take 45 minutes to an hour, obviously, most of the time. So just be mindful when that time is coming up and make your way to the gate to meet the delivery person. Camping heaters. So it's going to be November. It's going to be cold. No matter where you choose to sleep, when we discuss that in a second, it will be cold. So obviously there is the temptation to bring a heater. You cannot use any manner of plug-in heater, not least of which because the plugs are all up on the ceiling, but also just because they haven't been pat tested and they do have an affinity to explode sometimes. It's just easier for us to have that as a blanket rule. Gas camping heaters can be used outside under very close supervision, similar to the cooking supervision rules, which are basically if you have it lit or hot, as in you've just used it, someone must be within arm's reach of it, just in case anything goes wrong. They absolutely cannot be used inside of tents or whilst the user is asleep due to the risks surrounding carbon monoxide poisoning. It's a really big risk when it comes to winter events, so please be careful if you are going to bring one. The easiest thing, so that you don't have to worry about any of that, is just to bring a hot water bottle. So that's probably the thing I'll be opting for. So just bring along a hot water bottle and you don't have to worry about any of that. And then, as I've just said, it'll be November. Being dehydrated, medications and tiredness all mean it's hard to regulate temperature. Bring your hot water bottles, in-character pyjamas, winter layers, thermals. Bring a couple of different options for that as well. it's better to prepare yourself to be cold, bring loads of stuff with you, and then enjoy being toasty is the way to look at it. Yeah, nice thick socks and all those bits and bobs, gloves, hats, everything. Our winter this year is meant to be quite harsh from the projections. So, yeah, please do bring stuff so that you're nice and prepared. Back over to you, Becky.
Oh, goody. The really complicated slide. So, sleeping arrangements are a little bit more complicated than what they normally are at the jail. Due to various things, including the fire regulations, there will be no indoor space available for sleeping at Chemical Airsoft. I had to remember its name then. It just went out of my head. So we are producing and releasing a sleeping arrangements form as we have done before. This will generally help us know who's coming to and from site, whether people are staying on site, whether they'll be going during the event, which might then shape where we ask you to park, for example. There are a few options available, so we've listed them here. We've got camping under the building, which is a concrete area that you can place 2 to 3 person tents or solo person tents on, on this concrete, but there's no pegging the tents down, so please use tent weights or similar. There is level access available for unloading and loading your cars to get to this. We also have camp beds in the tunnel, so the tunnel is directly under the building. It is the please be really sensible option. As Scarlett has said a couple of times now, it's going to be a November event. It's going to be cold. Even if you have 15, 20 people sleeping in there, it will still be cold. So bring lots of layers, blankets, hot water bottles. Make sure you make them before you go to bed so that you can stay warm. Be aware that the walls do develop quite a bit of condensation. So when you are setting up your bed, we will likely give clear guidance on having all your beds in, say, the centre of the tunnel instead of towards the walls, so as to stop your bedding getting damp and wet during the event. I know that was a particular problem for some people at tithing, so we're hopefully learning from those things and trying to do it slightly different. There is a nearby field which you can camp in. It's about a 5-minute walk up a hill. There is pavement, street lighting the whole way up, and an island across the road. But be aware there's no security here. We suggest you keep your valuables on you. Don't leave anything in there you'd be worried too much about. Keep that stuff in your car or, with your friend or whatever on site. We can't look after your valuables because obviously we're going to be in and out of the crew spaces, so we will not be doing that. There is also the option of sleeping in your car or staying off site. So there were several people that slept in their cars and vans at tithing. That worked really well. Obviously it's a 24-hour manned security barrier to get in and out, so that's kind of provided a lot of feelings of security for a lot of people. If you would like to stay off site, there's some hotels. There's one that you can literally see from the entrance of the site that I know one of our players that played tithing stayed at, and they walked to and from each day, and they found that made quite a difference. Obviously there's also the option for Airbnb, so maybe talking to several people so you can keep costs down if that would suit you better. We also, for our crew, have a limited amount of space in a separate building space that people can sleep in, but it will be very limited. So you can put it on your form that you would like to request it, and we will have to see slightly closer to the event numbers and that kind of thing. So we might get in touch with you directly to discuss that. Access to that might involve steep stairs, and it will likely be loud because that'll be where other crew are hanging out. So just be mindful when you're considering that, whether that is something you can reasonably, manage. Time in is Friday, around 8 p.m. Obviously, we'll aim for 8 p.m. But as we all know, we're LARPers, and sometimes traffic and things may mean that we end up pushing things. So 8 o'clock is the official time. That's when we'll likely do the player and or crew briefings. And then we'll time in as soon after that as possible. And timeout will be Sunday. We usually aim for about 1 o'clock, but depending on how things pan out and plot and various things, it can be closer to 2 o'clock. So maybe factor that in if you are travelling by train or the public transport. As per, was it event 3 that we had this?
Yeah, event 3 last year.
We have found that the event is falling on Remembrance Sunday. So as we did that time, we're going to be observing a 2-minute silence at 11. There won't be any fighting at that time. So any fighting will commence around 11:30. So a bit closer to the event, probably at the event, we'll state a place that will be a meeting space for any player or crew that wishes to come to this. Last year we had a member of crew that very kindly used their phone to access, I think it was the BBC live stream of, you know, the things that take place in London, so that people could listen to it and have a moment. Anyone's welcome. We also respect that there are those that choose not to mark the day for any reason. That's also entirely fine. That's why we're not stopping gameplay. People can carry on if they so wish. We also know that some people choose to wear poppies or similar symbols during this time. If you want to add any of this to kit, we fully support you to do so. It's not going to be something that we recognise in character. No one's going to comment on it. If anyone does comment on it, please let a ref know. But, you know, we hope that this allows people to do what they feel most comfortable with around that day. And then, as I said, fighting then recommences, or should I say plot recommences at 11:30. You never know. You all might choose to have a very peaceful end to your event. I
just be pacifists.
Yeah, they could all be pacifists this time around.
maybe someday they'll choose peace.
That's the day that everyone wins at LARP. Would you like to do the next slide?
Yeah, I can do that. Right, so security and site procedures. This is unfortunately probably the most boring bit of the whole FAQ, but it's also very important stuff, so do just take note. The barrier, as we've said, is the 24-hour staffed barrier, monitored at the very least. So site owners will be on site, but they should mostly be in their caravan area. They may wander about fixing problems if they come up, but yeah, they mostly should just stick to themselves. If you notice anything that makes you feel uncomfortable or that seems odd, please do speak to the nearest referee. Obviously that goes for any of the things below, so fire, trespassers, or any sort of medical problem. We've also had environmental things as well. So, you know, if you spot something that we need to address, please let us know. Fire-wise, there are fire alarms in the main building that will be the player area. As far as I'm aware, there are fire alarms throughout the buildings. Raise the alarm, or if you hear the alarm, let others know. Make your way to the car park to be counted. We'll be using the check-in sheet to do so. In the event of an all clear, you'll be sent back to the game and we'll recommence as soon as we possibly can. If a fire is confirmed, then obviously we will call the fire service and we will take their lead and Charlie and Andy's lead on what will happen next. Trespassers, if people other than crew or players or the site marshals enter the game area, please inform a referee who will escort them off-site, that should say.
I'll fix that later.
In case of escalation, we will use the same procedure as the fire alarm. So what I've just said about go to the car park and we'll count you, blah, blah, blah. Medical emergency. So we are inundated with first aiders, very thankfully, as divided we fall. We do have some people who will be the first aiders on site, who'll make themselves known prior to and at the event, so during our briefs. The in-character med team referees are also our out-of-character medics, so that's Eddie and Sarah Gladders. who'll make themselves known if you don't already know who they are. Their photo is also in the frequently asked questions document if you'd just like to familiarise yourself with that as well. In the event we need to call an ambulance, our referees will decide whether it requires localised attention or a full game shutdown. And we do ask that you listen to their instructions so that we can minimise the intrusion on the game. Here we go. This is definitely a you thing.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that. So, chemical airsoft can be a claustrophobic and stressful place. Added with the stories we plan to tell, we implore you to take care of yourselves. The reason Scarlett identified me as the person to do this, I oversee generally mental health and well-being at sites. Unless it's OC medical things. So there are several mechanics that we have in place to make this environment really fun to be traumatized in whilst not actually being truly traumatized. So the lucky escape rule that allows you to quite literally make a lucky escape out of a situation just because the phys rep of you is not able to do a thing doesn't mean your character can't, so you have the ability to step out of situations. Nope cards, which if you're looking at the PowerPoint, we've put an example here which explains how you can use the card, but essentially you can use a look down gesture, which is you look down, you put your hands kind of over your eyebrows kind of thing to show that you're looking down, and then you walk away from a situation. That means, nope, I'm not dealing with this right now. Out of character, I am uncomfortable or unhappy or I'm feeling triggered or stressed. And then you can take yourself out of a situation. You can also just use the nope card. You can just place it down on a table and then just walk out of a situation. No one should say anything or do anything that makes you uncomfortable. After that point, you can just step away. And then if you need further support, you can get access from one of our referees or a friend or myself. And there are also various safety call mechanics. Again, all these things will be properly explained at the player and crew briefings because it's easy to forget them in the heat of the moment, so we'll just reiterate them time and again. Be aware that panic causes injuries, and that's no fun for anyone. That, you know, we've probably all LARPed at a time where something's made us panic, and then maybe we've you know, hit a little bit too hard with our LARP weapons or that kind of thing. It's very easy in the heat of the moment.
Like what someone did at event 3 where they decided to jump out of a window. I think we all remember that. I am going to call you out, not by name, but you know who you are.
And we love you. It was a great moment, like from a roleplay perspective, but my God, did I panic when I found out. But yeah, so do what you can to preempt things. You know what triggers you generally. You know yourselves best. If there are things that you feel we should be aware of, for example, you have a particular phobia that you think might come up in the game, please let us know, because we can put a note in our records and then we can handle that if and when those things come up. Much like with our first aiders, we also have lots of mental health first aiders on site because a lot of people had done the mental health first aid courses and things, which is amazing, makes me happy. So with that in mind, there will be people that will probably be identified during the player and crew briefings again. But you can always ask for me at events. That's mostly what I'm there for, is checking on people. And if you would like a copy of the note cards, we'll try to make sure that there's always a handful available in God. You can just come and ask for one and we'll hand them out, that kind of thing.
So, religion. Our priority is creating an immersive, safe event. Real-world events mean that we are not comfortable running a conflict-based plot on this occasion. We encourage everyone to be sensitive about instigating this type of roleplay. We know that some players and crew are personally impacted by real-world hostilities, and we don't want to contribute any additional trauma. That's not fun for anyone, and it drags everyone out of the game. We aren't saying don't do religious roleplay. We are saying think carefully. We will not write or deliver any religious conflict plot. If you plan to instigate religious conflict, please check in beforehand with all parties that may hear. This does include crew. Our volunteers are just as likely to have been impacted by global events as other players, so please do not assume consent just because someone is an NPC. If you accidentally engage in conflict-based religious roleplay without checking in first, please check in as soon as you remember to do so. If you're not comfortable with any roleplay, please feel free to tell the person to stop. If you need support, please reach out to a referee as soon as you are able. Okay, and the next section on gender. So, Divided We Fall is firmly and ferociously supportive of all genders and sexualities. So much so that there are free pronoun badges available in God for all to use. This is in bold and underlined for a reason. Don't assume gender. Saying something like, "Can I check your pronouns?" is ideal when you don't know a person. And if this is not possible, please default to they, them, and then ask as soon as possible. We attempt to make our game a very safe space, so don't comment if folks look different to how you see them elsewhere. If you're using Divided We Fall to explore your identity and need your experience to remain private and unphotographed, please speak to photographers or a referee to ensure your safety and privacy outside of the event.
So that's it as far as the video goes. Please do, if you have the ability to, just have a quick skim read at the very least of the actual FAQ document. It's not very long. It's only about 10 pages long. And all of the information we've covered today is in there in just a little bit more detail, probably written down and said without all of the ums and ahs and laughing as well. So yeah, last bit is just we will put out these slides and a transcript, and hopefully this video you're watching will be subtitled as well. We've listened to feedback from where we've done videos like this before without releasing a transcript, the slides, or subtitles, and it's something that we're going to put in place, which hopefully will be on everything from now on. Any questions, pop them in the question channel on Discord. Do avoid messaging people individually because it can get quite overwhelming, but with us it's an opt-in. If you put your message in the questions, then we message you. But yeah, aside from that, that's it. I'm going to bugger off now.
Yay! Let's go back to the cats crunching while you try and record videos. Thank you ever so much for listening. You're going to have an amazing event. Plot is well and truly underway now, and we're quite excited to see you all up at Chemical Airsoft.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.